6 weeks before the invasion, with the facts still in short supply, the American Secretary of State went before the United Nations.
I cannot tell you everything that we know, but what I can share with you, when combined with what all of us have learned over the years, is deeply troubling.
One major problem was that Secretary Powell barely acknowledged that there were inspections going on. It got to ridiculous points, such as his complaining about the fact that they'd put a roof over this open-air shed where they were testing missiles.
This photograph was taken in April of 2002. Since then, the test stand has been finished and a roof has been put over it, so it'll be harder for satellites to see what's going on underneath the test stand.
What he neglected to mention was that the inspectors were underneath watching what was going on.
A single drop of VX on the skin will kill in minutes 4 tons.
He didn't point out that most of that had already been destroyed. And on point after point, he failed to point out that these facilities about which he was raising such alarm were under repeated inspections by good expert people with very good equipment, and who were leaving behind cameras and other monitoring equipment to keep a continuing eye on it.
Leaving Saddam Hussein in possession of weapons of mass destruction for a few more months or years is not an option, not in a post-September 11th world.
The holes in his presentation became immediate within days, if not hours.
But what I want to bring to your attention today is the potentially much more sinister nexus between Iraq and the al-Qaeda terrorist network, a nexus that combines classic terrorist organizations and modern methods of murder.
One of the first big embarrassments was Powell had talked about this British intelligence report.
I would call my colleagues' attention to the fine paper that the United Kingdom distributed yesterday, which describes in exquisite detail Iraqi deception activities.
Supposedly, that exquisite detail from British intelligence came from a top-secret dossier.
Literally within a day or two, it was proven in the British press that had simply been downloaded off the internet and was plagiarized, and it can actually contain the typos that were in the original.
The British government dossier is supposed to be about Iraqi deception and concealment. It says it draws upon a number of sources, including intelligence material. Well, actually, what it largely draws on is a thesis written by a Californian postgraduate student.
That was just the first of many embarrassments that were to come. But within days, the British press was going crazy over this revelation.
As for the student himself, he's accused the government of plagiarism.
If the government is reduced to trawling academic journals, then how good is the rest of its case for war against Iraq?
Few prominent American broadcasters would ask such pointed questions.
The Secretary of State Colin Powell has made the case against Iraq.
Secretary of State Colin Powell has given a lot of important speeches in his lifetime to a lot of large audiences, but no speech was more important than the one he gave today.
In the United Nations Security Council this morning, the Secretary of State Colin Powell took almost an hour and a half to make the Bush administration's case against Saddam Hussein.
Making the case for war, Secretary Powell shows the world what he calls undeniable proof.
Colin Powell was trusted, is trusted, I'd put it in a sense. He, unlike many of the people who made the decision to go to war, Colin Powell has seen war. He knows what a green jungle hell Vietnam was. He knows what the battlefield looks like. And when Colin Powell says to you, I, Colin Powell, am putting my personal stamp on this information. It's my name, my face, and I'm putting it out there. That did make a difference.
And you were impressed.
I was impressed. And who wouldn't be?
And you look at the response from, forget about the right-wing media, from the so-called liberal press the next morning. You pick up the Washington Post, on the op-ed page, there's Jim Hoagland saying, obviously, from what Powell said, there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. You go a few inches away to Richard Cohen, a avowed liberal. He says, obviously, there are weapons of mass destruction. I mean, it's a fair paraphrase to say these pundits and many others were asserting, if you don't think there are WMDs in Iraq, you are an idiot.
Across the country, editorial writers bought what Powell was selling. A masterful legal summary, a strong, credible, and persuasive case, a powerful case, an ironclad case, succinct and damning evidence, a detailed and convincing argument, an overwhelming case, a compelling case, a persuasive, detailed accumulation of information.